Okay, grade 5. So we're going to talk and review just a little bit about decimals right now. I want to make sure your questions are answered. No, I'm not here today. I'm sick. Sorry, I was sick all weekend, guys, and thought I could do it yesterday. Be good. All right, so we've got our decimal number. We know that the ones place is the one right in front of the decimal, right here. This place right here with the 8, I'm sure some of you note this, but if you haven't, you're going to pause this video right now and go and get your black and white notebooks. Okay, so I'm sure you paused. Now that you have your black and white notebooks, you know that this is the 10th place. 10th. Not tens. This is new to you this year. So it is in the 100th place. Okay? The 100th place is the place right after the 10th place. And it seems weird to some of you. You think we should start with a 1th place, but we don't do that. We start with a 10th and a 100th. So the 100th, even though it says 100 in it, is smaller than the 10th because it cuts the 10 up into smaller pieces, or the 10th up into smaller pieces. Sorry, guys. All right, so you have to start getting used to thinking of things getting smaller. So the further away from the decimal this way they go, the smaller they go, the smaller they get. So after this, we've got 1,000th, and it's going to get even smaller. It just cuts it up that many more pieces. Okay, it's just like a fraction. All right. So when we're comparing decimals, we need to think about the place value that it's in. So if I've got two decimals, you might look at the decimals initially, and you might think that this is smaller than this. So therefore, this one is larger. But what you need to do is line them up. So we've got 1 and, because when we read the decimal, we read and, 1 and 87 hundredths. So we always say what number that is. So that's an 87, and then the 100th is whatever place value is the last place value. So then for this one, I've got 1 and 95 hundredths, because this is the last place value I've got. So when I'm comparing decimals, I'm going to start at the far left side. So both of them have a 1 in the ones place. Okay, so I have to move to my next place value. And if I do that, I notice that the 8 and the 9 are the numbers I'm comparing. 9 is bigger than 8, so I know that I don't need to keep comparing the rest of the place values. I know that this means that this number is bigger. So 1 and 95 hundredths, 1 and 95 hundredths is bigger than 1 and 87 hundredths. And to show that, you're going to use the same thing we did before in previous lessons, guys. And you're going to compare the two numbers like this, and you're going to have it eating the bigger number. Remember that inequality sign. It's eating the bigger number. Now, if you haven't already, I'd like you to write down what the place value is of each of the numbers, so that in your black and white notebook, you know that the number to the right of the decimal is a 10th, and the number 2 to the right of the decimal is a 100th. Please make sure you've recorded that now, and if you need to pause the video, please go ahead. Okay, if I have two numbers, and I know some of you are going to ask this question, Jake, I know you'd be one of them. If I have those two numbers, the inequality sign I use is actually really simple because it's exactly what you think it should be. These two numbers are equal to one another, so I'm going to use the equal sign. Okay? And I can't think of any other questions. If you think of any other questions, you're welcome to ask your supply teacher. You can also message me tonight on the website. I can reply. And I think you should be good to go. You're just comparing decimals for me, guys. We will be getting into rounding decimals as the unit progresses. And rounding decimals is no different. It does help to think of decimals as money. So, especially when we only go up to the hundredths place, it's just like using $1.95. Okay? So, the 5 cents is smaller than the 90 cents, if that helps to think of it that way.